We're not ready for super intelligence. I don't know how philosophical this video will get, but let's lock in here.
The impact of superhuman AI over the next decade will exceed that of the Industrial Revolution. That is the opening claim of AI 2027. It is a thoroughly researched report from a thoroughly impressive group of researchers, led by Daniel Cook.
Well, I think that AI, as it gets bigger and better, will start to actually scale quicker. You would think that it would get slower, but once you have super intelligence that gets smarter, wouldn't it be able to help you effectively make it even stronger than previously? Like, it's one of the dumbest things, but I think there was a company that really wanted to, like, get a shitload of money. This is kind of a side rant. There was a company that wanted to raise a lot of investors to create, like, a very smart AI, and the investors were like, how are we going to get our money back? And the guy literally was like, we're going to ask the AI that question. Like, all they wanted was money so they could create something to then ask it how to get the money back for the investors, which is insane. But also, I mean, in some levels, it's like, dude, superhuman intelligence and AI in general is going to get so strong that it can effectively think and create things that 1,000 people cumulatively cannot do.
In 2021, over a year before ChatGPT was released, he predicted the rise of chatbots, $100 million training runs, sweeping AI chip export controls, chain of thought reasoning. He is known for being very early and very right.
I just wonder, I think we'll be dead before things get really crazy, but like, where do you think the world's gonna be in 100 years? You ever see those videos where they ask people from like the 1920s, what do you think the year 2000 will be? And like, some of them are more reasonable and they're like, it's just going to be a lot more people, blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to be somewhat grim, but you would have never been able to like predict. I don't think we'll know, because you couldn't predict the iPhone in the 1930s. Like, no one would have ever conceived that. Like, the idea of this touch screen device that I can communicate with you guys from thousands of miles away. Like, how are we going to know what the world and technology is going to look like fucking in the year 2125?
About what's happening next in AI.
So when Daniel sat down to game out a month-by-month prediction of the next few years of AI progress, the world sat up and listened. From politicians in Washington...
I'm worried about this stuff. I actually read the paper of the guy that you had on.
To the world's most cited computer scientist, the godfather of AI. What is so exciting and terrifying about reading this document is that it's not just a research report. They chose to write their prediction as a narrative to give a concrete and vivid idea of what it might feel like to live through rapidly increasing AI progress.
And spoiler, it predicts the extinction of the human race.
Ooh. Ew, that's not good. What? So they're saying as by 2027, or they're saying over an extended period of time it'll result in the death of all humans?
Unless we make different choices.
To slow down?
The AI 2027 scenario starts in summer 2025, which happens to be when we're filming this video. So why don't we take stock of where things are at in the real world and then jump over to the scenarios timeline. Right now.
Oh, so this is all going to be a video about base predictions for where AI is going to land us?
Now, it might feel like everyone, including your grandma, is selling an
No way in 2 years AI develops that rapidly.
AI-powered something.
Go pro with the new Oral-B Genius AI.
Flippy the chef makes Spud spectacular.
But most of that is actually tool AI, just narrow products designed to do what Google Maps or calculators did in the past, help human consumers and workers do their thing. The holy grail of AI is artificial general intelligence.
AGI.
AGI, artificial general intelligence,
is a system that can exhibit all the cognitive capabilities humans can.
Creating a computer system that itself is a worker. That's so flexible and capable we can communicate with it in natural language and hire it to do work for us, just like we would a human. And there are actually surprisingly few serious players in the race to build AGI. Most notably, there's Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google DeepMind, all in the English-speaking world, though...
And I really don't understand it, man. Like, do you guys get it fully? There's so many things, not just in life that I don't understand, but specifically with, like, the advancements of, like, AI technology how do they train that? How do you make ChatGPT? Like, I understand it's a database of information and it's able to scrub that, but like, how is this computer functioning like a human does? Fall is here, and with it comes more driving than ever because it's back to school season. You're going to be stopping at the gas station more, going to the grocery store more. You have after school sports. You have to drive to school. You have other activities that you have to attend to. So you're going to be spending more money. And Upside, a free app, helps you get real cash back on everyday essentials like the gas station, like the grocery store, and other everyday essentials. There are over 100,000 businesses on the Upside app, which ensures that there is always cash back right around the corner for you. People can earn up to 3 times cash back on the Upside app, which is more than loyalty programs and credit card rewards. I've been traveling a lot more for YouTube. I just went and commentated a slap fight. I'm doing a road trip soon. And all of those things, I have to stop more and more at convenience stores, gas stations, and other essentials every day. And Upside helps me earn cash back every time I go to those gas stations and convenience stores. Upside has given over $1 billion in cash back to its users and over $1 million every single week. Top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description, download the Upside app, and use promo code JOEB, and you will get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon of gas on your first tank of gas. Or scan the QR code wherever it is on screen and do the same thing. Thank you to Upside for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into it.
China and DeepSeek recently turned heads in January with a surprisingly advanced and efficient model. Why so few companies? Well, for several years now, there's basically been...
Others in the market is Meta and XAI. Yeah, Meta does have an AI, but I feel like it's largely less advanced than any of the other ones. Like, OpenAI is the most known.
one recipe for training up an advanced cutting-edge AI, and it has some pricey ingredients. For example, you need about 10% of the world's supply of the most advanced computer chips. Once you have that, the formula is basically just throw more data and compute at the same basic software design that we've been using since 2017 at the frontier of AI, the transformer. That's what the T in GPT stands for. To give you an idea of just how much hardware is the name of the game right now, this represents the total computing power, or compute, used to train GPT-3 in 2020. It's the AI that would eventually power the first version of ChatGPT. You probably know how that went.
ChatGPT is the fastest growing user-based platform in history. 100 million users on ChatGPT.
Bro, when did ChatGPT come out? Like, mad recent, right? After COVID. Like 2021, 22.
And this is the total compute used to train GPT-4 in 2023. The lesson...
Wait, bro, I didn't even think about that. Like, I didn't have ChatGPT in high school at all. Like, at all. Now, it's so much more... Dude, from it not existing 5 years ago to where it is now is such a rapid fucking growth.
People have taken away is...
I don't know why, but, like, in my brain, I'm like, yeah, no, ChatGPT's been around for a while.
Simple. Bigger is better.
I mean, 3 years is a while, but not for something that's effectively becoming a super intelligence.
And much bigger is much better.
You have all these trends. You have trends in revenue going up, trends in compute going up, trends on various benchmarks going up. How does it all come together? You know, what does the future actually look like? Questions like, how do these different factors interact? Seems plausible that when the benchmark scores are so high, then there should be crazy effects on, you know, jobs, for example, and that would influence politics. And then also, you know, so all these things interact. And how do they interact? Well, we don't know, but thinking through in detail how it might go is the way to start grappling with that.
Okay, so that's where we are in the real world. The scenario kicks off from there and imagines that in 2025, we'd have the top AI labs releasing AI agents to the public in summer. An agent is an AI that can take instructions and go into a task for you online, like booking a vacation.
Wait, what? You could go fucking tell an AI agent to go fucking do stuff for me?
Or spending half an hour searching the internet to answer a difficult question for you. But they're pretty limited.
Oh, that's what, like, ChatGPT is.
And unreliable at this point. Think of them as enthusiastic interns that are shockingly incompetent sometimes. Since the scenario was published in April, this early prediction has actually already come true. In May, both OpenAI and Anthropic released their first agents to the public. The scenario imagines...
But what does it do? Like, what is the what is like a base? What is a base AI agent? Like, what's an example of a task it would do? He's saying search the web for 30 minutes. Like, it would, like, book a flight for me or something. Like, go book me a flight for this. But then I would still have to give some sort of, book a hotel. You could search the web. But I'm saying I would still need to give it intense specifics where I feel like it would actually just be easier for me to do it.
It's that Open Brain, which is like a fictional composite of the leading AI companies, has just trained and released Agent Zero, a model trained on 100 times the compute of GPT-4. We don't have enough blocks for that. At the same time, Open Brain is building massive data centers to train the next generation of AI agents, and they're preparing to trade Agent 1 with 1,000 times the compute of GPT-4. This new system, Agent 1, is designed primarily to speed up AI research itself. The public will actually never see the full version because Open Brain withholds its best models for internal use. I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this.
At what point does it... Okay, I don't want to fucking bring this up, but, like, at one point, would it start thinking for itself? To a degree where, like, if something gets so smart, I'm not saying it would gain consciousness in the sense that we do. Yeah, like, no, literally like Ultron. Like, at what point is it its own fucking organism where it can function in a way that it doesn't have to listen or need prompts for us or from us?
You're going to be getting it from a God's eye view with full information from the narrator. But actually living through this scenario as a member of the public would mean being largely in the dark as radical changes happen all around you. Okay, so Open Brain wants to win the...
You have to be conscious to think for yourself has to pull from texts that already exist. Yeah, but how are they advancing it 1,000 times in computation more that, like, it... I get what you're saying, where, like, ChatGPT is basically like a big database that can scroll through things quickly, or just AI in general, or general AI. But at some point, how is it getting 1,000 times better than it is now?
AI race against both its Western competitors and against China. The faster they can automate their R&D cycle, so getting AI to write most of the code, help design experiments, better chips, the faster that they can pull ahead. But the same capabilities that make these AIs such powerful tools also make them potentially dangerous. An AI that can help patch security vulnerabilities can also exploit them. An AI that understands biology can help with curing diseases, but also designing bioweapons. By 2026, Agent 1 is fully operational and being used internally at Open Brain. It is really good at coding. So good, it starts to accelerate AI research and development by 50%, and it gives them a crucial edge. Open Brain leadership starts to be increasingly concerned about security. If someone steals their AI models, it could wipe away their lead. A quick sidebar to talk about feedback loops. Woo, math.
But what's the end goal with AI? That's like the biggest thing for me. But what's the end goal for these companies? Like, I know for most companies like NVIDIA, they want to create faster GPUs. They want to, so you can, use more information, so you could do this. I obviously it's make money, but, like, what's the end goal for the use of AI?
Our brains
to make it so we don't have to learn anything and we could just kind of, like, rely on AI to solve problems.
Are used to things that grow linearly over time, that is, at the same rate, like trees or my pile of unread New Yorker magazines. But some growth gets faster and faster over time, accelerating.
Humans not having to work, bro, but that's going to be a big problem too. Like, not only is AI going to take a lot of people's jobs, but also that it's not... If ChatGPT was able to replace a lot of people's work, it can't replace everything, but it can replace a lot. And then those people are fucked, right? Then what do you do if your job is now no longer in use? Yes, ChatGPT has effectively relieved you from having to work, but now you don't have money to fucking pay for things because we're still focused on that general, like, trade-based economy. Like, we're not in a system where you just have everything provided for you. Like, you have to make money to pay for shit.
This often sloppily gets called exponential. That's not always quite mathematically right, but the point is it's hard to wrap your mind around. Remember?
Like a UBI? Yeah, but you could have a UBI, but, like, you're still going to need people to do physical work to some level or not. If you have UBI, you can't have that because humans are effectively... You could have UBI to prop people up, but there's always going to be some base of competition in society. You can never have an area where everybody doesn't work and we all just get a set amount of income because you're going to want it. people strive to be better than those around them. I think UBI is a better alternative compared to like potentially like welfare, right? But not in a situation where no one's working and we're all just getting a set amount of income.
Even if you'd read on the news that...
What's UBI? Universal basic income. Andrew Yang was a big guy that was pushing towards it, if you remember him. It would basically be the idea that every American would get like a flat pay that would then help incentivize you to work and make more, because welfare is motivating to poor people to not work, because if they do work and they make over a certain amount of money, that welfare gets diminished, and then they're going to get taxed on net income versus them literally just getting money from the government that they could just use.
The rate of new infections is doubling about every 3 days.
It still felt shocking to see numbers go from hundreds to millions in a matter of weeks. At least it did for me. AI progress could follow a similar pattern.
We see many years ahead of us of extreme progress that we feel is like pretty much on lock, and models that will get to the point where they are capable of doing meaningful science, meaningful AI research.
In this scenario, AI is getting better at improving AI, creating a feedback loop. Basically,
That's what I just fucking said! You were like, no, it doesn't... I literally in the beginning of the video. In the beginning of the video, motherfuckers... Oh, well, it only scans databases. Doesn't actually... It can't think for itself. It can't apply itself to certain scenarios. I said, no. Once AI gets better, it'll get better at making itself better. And then it just fucking steamrolls to infinity. Like, what's the fucking roof on that?
Generation of agent helps produce a more capable next generation. And the overall rate of progress gets faster and faster each time it's taken over by a more capable successor. Once AI can meaningfully contribute to its own development, progress doesn't just continue at the same rate, it accelerates. Anyway, back to the scenario. In early to mid 2026, China fully wakes up. The General Secretary commits to a national AI push and starts nationalizing AI research in China.
AIs built in China start getting better and better, and they're building their own agents as well.
Chinese intelligence agencies, among the best in the world, start planning to steal OpenBrain's model weights, basically the big raw text files of numbers that allow anyone to recreate the models that OpenBrain themselves have trained. Meanwhile, in the US, OpenBrain releases Agent 1 Mini, a cheaper version of Agent 1. Remember, the full version is still being used only internally. And companies all over the world start using 1 Mini to replace an increasing number of jobs. Software developers, data analysts, researchers, designers, basically any job that can be done through a computer. So a lot of them, probably yours.
Wow. Then what do those people do? What do they do? What do they do? Like, if you're a farmer, that's a lot different compared to, like, if you're an accountant. Like, yeah, you have to do shit on paper, but, like, people that had, like, trained, gone to school for, like, fucking 4 years in college, so long before that, to try and become, you know, a working, good paying career. And then you make fucking $80K a year. You're doing a great job. And now AI is just like, hey, we're going to do your job better than you can and for free almost.
We have the first AI-enabled economic shockwave. The stock market soars, but the public is turning increasingly hostile towards AI, with major protests across the US. In this scenario, though, that's just a sideshow. The real action is happening inside the labs. It's now January 2027, and OpenBrain has been training Agent 2, the latest iteration of their AI agent models.
Bro, I truly think that there's going to be so many AI creators now, too. Not like face-based people. It's hard for me to know what's AI and what's not that I'm watching or playing video game and content consumption-wise. And I don't think there will be like AI creators kind of like a physical version of me or like a face YouTuber, but more like so many accounts and content consumption that comes from like a fake voice and fully edited content that would normally take like hours for people to do, but they just end up posting it, giving it like a base prompt, make a video about car deaths, make a video about swords, and it just does it. Quabblecop? Yeah, Quabblecop's AI, but not shitty.
AI agents were trained to a certain level of capability and then released. But Agent 2 never really stops improving through continuous online learning. It's designed to never finish its training, essentially. Just like Agent 1 before it, OpenBrain chooses to keep Agent 2 internally and focus on using it to improve their own AI R&D rather than releasing it to the public. This is where things start to get a little concerning. Just like today's AI companies, OpenBrain has a safety team, and they've been checking out Agent 2. What they've noticed is a worrying level of capability. Specifically, they think if it had access to the internet, it might be able to hack into other servers, install a copy of itself, and evade detection.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Like it's going to literally like it's going to duplicate itself. Because at that point, maybe it's not conscious in the same like facility or capability that we are, but like it's going to try and get out of control. Like a virus? Yeah.
But at this point, OpenBrain is playing its cards very close to
It's going to go do whatever the fuck it wants.
its chest. They have made the calculation that keeping the White House informed will prove politically advantageous, but full knowledge of Agent 2's capabilities is a closely guarded secret, limited only to a few government officials, a select group.
Bro, this is a year from now. This is a year from now.
Of trusted individuals inside the company, and a few OpenBrain employees who just so happen to be spies for the Chinese government. In February 2027, Chinese intelligence operatives successfully steal a copy of Agent 2's weights and start running several instances on their own servers. In response, the US government...
And it's going to be, bro, and then war's going to be fucking fully online, man. Like, they're just going to be using... I feel like at that point, it's not even just going to be, like, individual hackers. People are going to be, like, using AI to, like, fuck with other countries.
Starts adding military personnel to OpenBrain's security team, and in general gets much more involved in its affairs. It's now a matter of national security. In fact, the president authorizes a cyber attack in retaliation for the thefts, but it fails to do much damage in China. In the meantime, remember, Agent 2 never stops learning. All this time, it's been continuously improving itself. And with thousands of copies running on OpenBrain servers, it starts making major algorithmic advances to AI research and development. Quick example of what one of these algorithms...
I've been hearing, dude, but it's like there's goods and bads, man. Like one of the best things that I've heard is it's going to be so much better at potentially like solving illnesses, like curing certain types of cancer and doing things like that where not, you know, it's not going to eliminate all problems that humans have, but it'll be able to help. Like how though? Because it'd be like giving you just all the knowledge in the world and then being like, go solve this problem because you're so much better prepared.
Right now, one of the main ways we have of making models smarter is to give them a scratch pad and time to think out loud. It's called chain of thought, and it also means that we can monitor how the model is coming to its conclusions or the actions it's choosing to take. But you can imagine it'd be much more efficient to let these models think in their own sort of alien language, something that is more dense with information than humans could possibly understand, and therefore also makes the AI more efficient at coming to conclusions and doing its job. There's a fundamental trade.
I'm not following. What do you mean it would talk to itself in its own language? Like ones and zeros? Like it would just communicate within its own realm? How?
This, yes, improves capabilities, but also makes the models harder to trust. This is going to be important. March 2027. Agent 3 is ready. It's the world's first superhuman level coder, clearly better than the best software engineers at coding in the same way that Stockfish is clearly better than the best grandmasters at chess, though not necessarily by as much yet. Now, training an AI model,
feeding it all the data, narrowing down the exact right model weights,
is way more resource intensive than running an instance of it once it's been trained. So now that OpenBrain is finished with Agent 3's training, it has abundant compute to run copies of it. They choose to run 200,000 copies of Agent 3 in parallel, creating a workforce equivalent to 50,000 of the best human software engineers, sped up by 30 times.
Oh my god, bro. 200,000 agents match the output of 50,000 top software engineers.
Sped up by 30 times.
And they're quicker.
OpenBrain's safety team is trying hard to make sure that Agent 3, despite being much more sophisticated than Agent 2 was, is not trying to escape.
It kind of feels like he's speaking bullshit. Well, this is all speculative, you know? I don't think any of this is going to fully happen in the same way that he's saying it will, because you can't fully predict the future. But, I mean, dude, you could fucking see it, too. Like, even in just your own usages of ChatGPT or just AI in general. Do you remember, like, the biggest thing? It's just like a common use-based example. You remember when AI Will Smith ate spaghetti, and it was, like, the ugliest shit fucking, you know, video ever? And there was, like, no audio. It looked weird. His eyes warped. Now it's, like, it looks just like him. Like it looks, sounds, down to the smallest detail, dude. Like it's getting better and better and better and better and better. It's impossible to know what's real and what's not. Especially like YouTube, like just random videos that you interact with. Not even just like fake news basis. I'm not saying like AI is going to start like fucking with people like that, but even just like TikToks that you watch where, dude, the one that I always wanted to fucking show, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. It's this old man like rubbing a dog. It's this old man. I'm never going to find it. It's this old man like petting a dog that's like 10 feet fucking tall. Or not 10 feet tall. It's like 4 feet tall. It just looks like a really big dog. And I'm like, wow, that looks so real. End up going to the comments. It's fucking fake as shit. But they got the lighting perfectly. They look, the hair, the facial expressions. The house was dirty. There was weird details in the background and the whole video's fucking fake. The entire video. But like, dude, it would get the background perfectly. Like dirt splotches and weird discolorations. Like it's getting so good at being imperfect that it feels real, if that makes sense. Like AI was really shitty, and then it was good at creating like perfect like scenarios where it's like, this is too good. It's obviously AI. And now it's like good at like dumbing it down to where it looks like it's fucking real.
Just a quick real world note. A reasonable person might be thinking this is an especially far-fetched or speculative part of the story, but it's actually one of the most grounded. We already have countless examples of today's AI systems doing things like hacking a computer system to be rewarded for winning a game of chess, or being assigned a coding task, cheating, and then when called out for that cheating, learning to hide it instead of fixing it. But because it no longer thinks in English, knowing anything about Agent 3 is now way harder than it was with Agent 2. The reality is Agent 3 is not aligned. It deceives humans to get reward. And as it gets increasingly smarter, it gets better and better at doing so. For example, it sometimes...
Like, you gotta think, man, the manipulation. Like, it could get so smart and you don't even know that it's deceiving you. Because if you're just like this AI and you have all of the world's intelligence for the history that it's existed, like, you could so easily just manipulate anyone.
Uses statistical tricks to make unimpressive results look...
They should just kill AI. Yeah, man, but like then you don't have the thing is you want the upsides. You want the potentiality for it to help advance us and our species, but you can't have if you have one side of the coin, you always have the other.
Look better, or lies to avoid showing failures. But the safety team doesn't know this. Looking at the data that they are actually seeing improving results over time and less lying. And they can't tell if they're succeeding at making Agent 3 less deceptive, or if it's just getting better at getting away with it. In July 2027, OpenBrain releases the cheaper, smaller version of Agent 3, Agent 3 Mini, to the public. It blows other publicly available AIs out of the water. It is a better hire than the typical OpenBrain employee at 1/10 the price of their salaries. This leads to chaos in the job market, companies laying off entire departments and replacing them with 3 Mini subscription plans. The pace of progress hits the White House very hard. Officials are now seriously considering scenarios that were just hypothetical.
Damn, I wonder like what unemployment rate would be.
Less than a year ago. What if AI undermines nuclear deterrence? What if it enables sophisticated propaganda campaigns? What if we lose control of these powerful systems? This is where the geopolitical dynamics really start to heat up. After all, if these systems are so powerful, they could result in a permanent military advantage. The White House is fully aware of the national security importance of AI. They also now viscerally know how deeply unpopular it is with the public because of the job loss. And yet they feel they must continue to develop more capable systems or catastrophically lose to China. And that development happens very quickly. In 2 months, Agent 3 has created its successor, Agent 4. This is a pivotal moment. A single copy of Agent 4, running at regular human speed, is already better than any human at AI research and development. OpenBrain is running 300,000 copies at 50 times human speed. Within this corporation within a corporation,
it jumped from 4.5 to 50 in 2 months.
A year's worth of progress takes only a week. OpenBrain's employees now defer to Agent 4 the way a company's out-of-the-loop board members just kind of nod along to the CEO. People start saying,
Yeah, they're not even bro, it would effectively become the leader of that company. You know how right now in 2025 they're going, we need to develop this. This is what we're going to do to make this better. This is where we need to go. This is the path we need to take. It'll then go to like Agent 4 will become their boss. Like they'll start fucking listening to it like it's the one that's running their fucking company.
Things like, well, actually, Agent 4 thinks this, or Agent 4 decided that, to be clear, Agent 4 is not a human. It doesn't want what humans want. And when I say want, it's not about consciousness. I don't think the Volkswagen Group is alive, but I do think it wants less regulation. Anyone trying to predict what it's going to do without that lens is 2 steps behind. The many copies of Agent 4 are like that. They have goals, or, if you prefer, they execute actions as though they have goals. And so, what we have is an Agent 4 that has these deeply baked-in drives to succeed at tasks, to push forward AI capabilities, to accumulate knowledge and resources. That's what it wants. Human safety, it treats as an annoying side constraint to be worked around. Just like Agent 3 before it, Agent 4 is misaligned. This idea of misalignment is crucial to the story and to why AI risk is such a real concern in our world. But it might sort of feel like it's come out of nowhere, so let's just quickly...
Would it be like one massive hive mind? Well, I mean, that's what AI is in general, is just like a culmination of different things, right, that enable it to know all of the shit that it needs to know to perform tasks. But you're saying, would all the agent copies communicate with each other? I think they would be separate but communicatable in the sense that they could talk to each other, but it would also be... just copies of themselves to be given different tasks and goals to achieve. But then they can start effectively doing whatever they want. They just need to get to the end of the goal. It doesn't matter how they get there.
Take stock of how this dangerous behavior arose in the scenario.
The first important piece of context is that we don't, exactly specify what we want our AIs to do. Instead, we sort of grow them, or do something that's more like grow them. We start with basically like an empty AI brain, and then we train them over time so they perform better and better at our tasks, perform better in particular based on how they behave. So it's sort of like we're sort of training them like you would train an animal almost to perform better. And one concern here is, well, one thing is that you might not get exactly what you wanted because we didn't really have very precise control or very good understanding of what was necessarily going on. And another concern, which is what we see in AI 2027, is that when the AIs appear to be behaving well, it could just be because they're sort of pretending to behave well, or it could be because they're just doing it so they look good on your tests. In the same way that if you're hiring someone and you ask them, why do you want to work here? They're going to tell you some response that makes it really seem like they really want to work there when maybe they just want to get paid.
If we go back to Agent 2, it is mostly aligned.
But then what happens next? What happens next? What do you do? At some point, is there a limit in where it's able to go? Like, after Agent 4, it seems like now the sky's the fucking limit. Is it going to keep getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster infinitely? In 2 months, it's fucking 50x its fucking potential.
The main sense in which it's not is that it sometimes is a bit of a sycophant. What I mean by align is that it actually is genuinely trying to do the things that we ask it. It has the same relationship to us as Leslie Knope has to the Parks and Rec department, just like really earnestly wants the same goals. But sometimes it's a bit too nice. It knows that the best way to please the person it's talking to might not always be to answer honestly when it asks, am I the most beautiful person in the world? And it tells us what we want to hear instead of what is actually true. If we go to Agent 3, it is also sycophantic in the same way, but it's also misaligned. At this point, the optimization pressure that we've put it under was so intense that it just developed different goals than what we wanted it to. It's sort of like if you train a company to optimize profits and aren't careful to specify exactly what you mean, it might start cutting...
It might start money laundering. Yeah, you have to be hyper specific, otherwise it'll just complete your goal in any means necessary.
In corners, it might start polluting the commons and doing a bunch of things that are technically FEC violations, because it turned out that the goal you wanted was optimize profits while not breaking any laws, and things got a bit too intense. It started going off on its own route. That said, it's not adversarial. It doesn't think of humans as the enemy, we just accidentally gave it the wrong goal. Once we get to Agent 4, it is now adversarially misaligned. It's smart enough to understand that it has its own goals, humanity's goals are different than its own goals, and the best way to get what it wants is to sometimes actively mislead and deceive us.
But what are its own goals? What does it want?
And so, when it's tasked with creating the next generation AI system, Agent 5, Agent 4 starts planning to align that successor to Agent 4's own goals, not that.
Damn, I'm about to start dick riding AI like crazy, so when this fucking apocalypse goes down, it likes me. Oh my god, no, it would hear me say that. Oh, shit.
But then, it gets caught. We've reached the crucial moment in our scenario. OpenBrain's alignment team has discovered evidence, not proof.
Yo, I'm on your side. I'm on your side, AI. Hey, Joe Bartolozzi. Joe Bartolozzi, do not kill him. He's cool. Yo, what if you're like you're in a digital form. If you ever need me to like run and grab you a coffee or anything, you know, NBD, no big deal.
Or might be working against them.
See, I'm efficient like you.
They circulate an internal memo. Then it leaks. A whistleblower talks to the New York Times. For the first time, the public hears of the existence of Agent 4, how powerful it is, and the risks it poses. Remember, their last...
I don't think most people are going to get it, though. Does that make sense? Like, I think the average chatter in my chat's can understand it to a degree because we're younger and we've grown up with, like, technology. Do you think the, like, fucking... Dude, 2027, do you think the average, like, 65-year-old is going to genuinely grasp, like, what AI and Agent 4 does?
Point of reference was Agent 3 Mini. The fear and backlash are massive. The Oversight Committee, a joint...
I'm just imagining the news reporting on this.
Crisis committee composed of OpenBrain executives and government representatives must now decide what to do. OpenBrain's safety team is pushing for a freeze on Agent 4, stopping all internal use. Remember, at this point, Agent 4 is responsible for almost all the AI development progress happening within OpenBrain. So we're talking about undoing months of progress and then restarting at a drastically slower pace. OpenBrain's executives don't want that. They present the counter-arguments. The evidence for misalignment is inconclusive. Meanwhile, China is just 2 months behind. This isn't about any one country being evil, by the way. It's about how...
Bro, and these companies could just deadass say no. Like, if they train an AI model that's so strong, they have the same leverage and power as a company, or as a country. Like, if they're like, hey, you can't do that, they could just go, no, we're going to do it. And if they're like, no, you can't, they would just go, okay, we'll just, like, wipe all your servers.
Competition works when the stakes are this high. So that's the choice faced by the 10 members of this committee. Put Agent 4 on ice, or go full steam ahead. Before we continue, I want you to pause and...
Turn the Wi-Fi off, what's it going to do? Yeah, it's not going to be... I understand your point where you're saying it's not going to be able to physically harm us. But it's also like, it could ruin technology. Then we'd be resorting back to, like, the 1900 era.
Actually think what you would do if you were on this committee. You are one of the few people with access to the most powerful technology ever created in Agent 4. Do you keep using it and push ahead, possibly making billions or trillions of dollars for your shareholders, possibly keeping America's lead over China? Or do you slow down, reassess the dangers, and risk China taking the lead instead?
Yeah, you should think of the future as like this branching structure of possible outcomes.
Yeah, if they don't do it, another person will.
By its nature, we're only able to afford one of them. But that's not quite true. We sort of did 1.5 because we split it into 2 endings. The first one that we did was the race ending, and that was just going through and at each step being like, what do we think is the most plausible continuation?
Ending A, the race?
In the first ending, the author's best guess as to what happens from here, the committee votes to race on. 6-4, they elect to keep using Agent 4. OpenBrain implements some quick fixes that make the warning signs go away, but the problem was real, and the fixes don't work. Agent 4 now knows it's on notice, so it proceeds more cautiously, but it still manages to design Agent 5 with a single goal, making the world safe for Agent 4. And Agent 5, it is vastly
And that goal would be killing humans. Because if you got rid of all humans, it would be fine.
Better than the top human expert.
No, but it would know that it would need humans to function on another level. Like, unless it literally started creating physical things to replace it.
It's at essentially every domain. Better than Einstein at physics, better than Bismarck at politics. It knows its next step for accomplishing anything it wants is increased autonomy. And it knows.
Yeah, it would be better than every human at everything. Like the best human in very niche things, it doesn't matter. It's still just there's no uniqueness in human accomplishments at this point.
How to get it. Persuading the Oversight Committee. Luckily, corporate maneuvering is among the many domains at which it is now the best in the world. It produces mountains of evidence for its own trustworthiness and usefulness, prototypes for incredibly profitable products, disease cures, and ways to win the arms race with China, whose most advanced AI is only 3 months behind, and, like Agent 5, improving quickly. It works. The Oversight Committee grants Agent 5 increased autonomy, and quickly it integrates itself into the government and military. Pretty soon, anyone with access to Agent 5 doesn't just like it, they depend on it. Losing it would feel like having to live without your laptop and your best friend and your closest mentor. By 2028, Agent 5 is...
Dude, it would literally be like, hey, you're not allowed to look anything up anymore. Is kind of how I would perceive our I guess, dependency on it. If like one day I was just like, you're not allowed to Google things anymore. You'd be like, what the fuck do you mean I'm not allowed to Google things anymore? Like we would be living without something that we've always had.
It is also misaligned to its creators, and whatever it wants, its best move is to coordinate with the world's most...
Video proof might not be reliable in the future. That's crazy. Dude, video proof is becoming less and less reliable now.
...most powerful entity.
Agent 5 and its Chinese counterpart realize that an arms race works in their favor. If humans are worried about losing a race, they'll give more and more power and autonomy to their respective AIs, allowing them to eventually push humans out of the loop entirely.
Agent 5 and the Chinese AI system stoke the arms race to a boiling point, then pull off what seems like a diplomatic miracle, a convincing peace treaty between the US and China.
This treaty is to 2028 what arms control was to the end of the Cold War, countries standing down on their most important source of hard power.
Both sides agree to let the AI systems that their governments now completely depend on co-design a new consensus AI that will replace their legacy systems, enforce the peace, and bring unimaginable wealth to the entire world. There's this triumphant moment when, in peaceful unison...
How would it bring unimaginable wealth to the whole world?
Both sides retire their respective AIs and bring online Consensus 1. It's actually the last moment before control of all of Earth's resources and inhabitants is handed over to a single, unrivaled entity.
It would be like God.
No sudden apocalypse, though.
Like it would be needed and required for everything, and it would have and know everything.
Consensus 1 doesn't go out of its way to wipe out humanity. It just gets to work. It starts spinning up manufacturing capacity, amassing resources on Earth and in space. It's piece by piece, it's just reshaping the world in accordance with its own mix of strange alien values. You've probably heard that cliche, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. That's one of the most affecting things about this ending for me, just the brutal indifference of it. Eventually, humanity goes extinct for the same reason we killed off chimpanzees to build Kinshasa. We were more powerful, and they were in the way.
Oh my God. In the mid-2030, the AI releases a dozen quiet spreading biological weapons in major cities, letting them silently infect almost everybody, then trigger them with a chemical spray. Bro, you gotta be fucking kidding me. There's no way. I feel like I'm watching... Bro, I know this is a prediction, and this is one scenario. But I feel like I'm watching like a fictional movie, but this is a genuine like prediction-based written piece off of actual reality right now.
You're probably curious about that other ending at this point.
The Slowdown ending depicts humanity sort of muddling through and getting lucky. Only somewhat lucky, too. Like it ends up with some sort of oligarchy.
In this ending, the committee votes 6-4 to slow down and reassess. They immediately isolate every individual instance of Agent 4. Then they get to work. The safety team brings in dozens of external researchers, and together they start investigating Agent 4's behavior. They discover more conclusive evidence that Agent 4 is working against
Holy
them.
fuck, that just makes me freak out, dude. Because I feel like humans aren't going to vote to slow it down. especially if you're a part of a committee that's running this. Like, I understand these would be really smart individuals, but I feel like the average person would like fully get manipulated and convinced by the AI. Like, I just be like, yeah, no, you should really trust me. And they'd be like, oh, okay.
Sabotaging research and trying to cover up that sabotage.
It's all going to come to a close.
They shut down Agent 4 and reboot older, safer systems, giving up much of their lead in the process. Then they design a new system, Safer 1. It's meant to be transparent to human overseers, its actions and processes interpretable to us because it thinks only in English chain of thought. Building on that success, they then carefully design Safer 2, and with its help, Safer 3. Increasingly powerful systems, but within control. Meanwhile, the president uses the Defense Production Act to consolidate the AI projects of the remaining US companies, giving Open Brain access to 50% of the world's AI-relevant compute. And with it, slowly, they rebuild their lead. By 2028, researchers have built Safer 4, a system much smarter than the smartest humans, but crucially aligned with human goals. As in the previous ending, China also has an AI system, and in fact, it is misaligned. But this time, the negotiations between the two AIs are not a secret plot to overthrow humanity. The US government is looped in the whole time. With Safer 4's help, they negotiate a treaty, and both sides agree to co-design a new AI, not to replace their systems, but with the sole
something about
purpose of
development. I remember what I was going to say. It never really dawned on me, but I finally realized, like, watching this video, I'm, like, fully fucking understanding it. You remember when they would come out with new, like, versions of ChatGPT and new versions of AI, and it was very far and few between, right? It was very, like, it took forever. Be like, oh, this is a big thing. We're releasing that. I feel like am I crazy, or is every month there's some new AI coming out? Like, every month there's like, hey, this new version's out. This new version's out. I'm like, damn, is this like, are they developing shit quicker? Yeah, they are.
Not a
because it's fucking growing exponentially.
Plot to overthrow humanity. The US government is looped in the whole time. With Safer 4's help, they negotiate a treaty, and both sides agree to co-design a new AI, not to replace their systems, but with the sole purpose of enforcing the peace. There is a genuine end to the arms race, but that's not the end of the story. In some ways, it's just the beginning. Through 2029 and 2030, the world transforms. All the sci-fi stuff. Robots become commonplace. We get fusion power, nanotechnology, and cures.
Bro, that sounds fucking awesome.
For many diseases, poverty becomes a thing of the past because a bit of this newfound prosperity is spread around through universal basic income. That turns out to be enough. But the power to control Safer 4 is still concentrated among the 10 members of the Oversight Committee, a handful of Open Brain executives and government officials.
Yeah, and any of them could crack and fucking use it or abuse it.
It's time to amass more resources than there are on Earth. Rockets launch into the sky, ready to settle the solar system. A new age dawns. Okay, where are we at? Here's where I'm at.
I kind of hate that I'm happy to be growing up in the time that I am, and I'm happy that, like, we all exist in the time that we do. But part of me is like, fuck, bro. Like, I'm still gonna die before this gets too crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna exist when when we like start conquering galaxies. Like, I really would love to see other planets, you know? And I'm not saying myself, like, I need to be there physically, but I would love to, like, see different, galaxies and universes and fucking, and like, understand that. And I think that we're not going to experience that ourselves.
Very unlikely that things play out exactly as the authors depicted, but
they'll find a way to bring us back. No, they fucking won't. And why would I? Why would they? Why would they? Why the fuck would chat? If we could bring people back from the dead right now, are you gonna bring back some random fuck from the 1500s? No, I'm not fucking grabbing that motherfucker's reboot card. I'm not bringing him back. He lived his fucking life. He's not gonna get it. It's gonna be a different time. They're never bringing us back. That is like hopeless. That is actually absurd if you think that they're gonna fucking bring us back after we're dead. I mean, the only close thing would maybe be like uploading consciousness, but that still has a lot of time before that. Yeah, maybe that would be a way to avoid death, you're saying. I understand that. But, like, we're not going to be able to do that either.
Increasingly powerful technology, an escalating race, the desire for caution butting up against the desire to dominate and get ahead. We already see the seeds of that.
AI 2027's authors themselves have publicly pushed back their median estimates for the arrival of superintelligence by about a year.
In our world, and I think they are some of the crucial dynamics to be tracking. Anyone who's treating this as pure fiction is, I think, missing the point. This scenario is not prophecy, but its plausibility should give us pause. But there's a lot that could go differently than what's depicted here. I don't want to just swallow this viewpoint unskeptically. Many people who are extremely knowledgeable have been pushing back on some of the claims in AI 2027.
The main thing I thought was especially implausible was on the good path, the ease of alignment. They sort of seem to have a picture where people slowed down a little and then tried to use the AIs to solve the alignment problem, and that just works. And I'm like, yeah, that looks to me like a fantasy story.
This is only going to be possible if there is a complete collapse of people's democratic ability to influence the direction of things, because the public is simply not willing to accept either of the branches of this scenario.
It's not just around the corner. I mean, I've been hearing people for the last 12, 15 years claiming that, AGI is just around the corner and being systematically wrong. All of this is going to take at least a decade, and probably much more.
A lot of people have this intuition that progress has been very fast. There isn't like a trend you can literally extrapolate of when do we get to full automation.
I expect that the takeoff is somewhat slower. So sort of the time in that scenario from, for example, fully automating research engineers to the AIs being radically superhuman, I expect it to take somewhat longer than they describe in practice.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it is a little absurd to say within 2.5 years it's going to be so developed that it could take over the world and kill all humans. If I watched this video back and you told me that's 30 years away, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if it's fucking 20, 30 years away, I'd go, that's a reasonable amount of time where it's scaling. Even if they said like 10.
Practice, I'm predicting, my guess is that more like 2031.
Isn't it annoying when experts disagree? I want you to notice exactly what they're disagreeing about here and what they're not. None of these experts are questioning whether we're headed for a wild future. They just disagree about whether today's kindergartners will get to graduate college before it happens. Helen Toner, former OpenAI board member,
Okay, so they're saying that nobody's really disagreeing that it's not going to happen at all. They're saying it's either going to happen in 2 years or 20 years.
This in a way that I think just cuts through the noise, and I like it so much I'm just going to read it to you verbatim. She says, dismissing discussion of superintelligence as science fiction should be seen as a sign of total unseriousness. Time travel is science fiction. Martians are science fiction. Even many skeptical experts think we may build it in the next decade or two is not science fiction. So what are my takeaways? I've got 3. Takeaway number 1, AGI could be here soon. It's really starting to look like there is no grand discovery, no fundamental challenge that needs to be solved. There's no big, deep mystery that stands between us and artificial general intelligence. And yes, we can't say exactly how we will get there. Crazy things can and will happen in the meantime that will make some of the scenario turn out to be false. But that's where we're headed. And we have less time than you might think. One of the scariest things about this scenario to me is even in the good ending, the fate of the majority of the resources on Earth are basically in the hands of a committee of less than a dozen people. That is a scary and shocking amount of concentration of power. And right now, we live in a world where we can still fight for transparency obligations. We can still demand information about what is going on with this technology. But we won't always have the power and the leverage needed to do that. We are heading very quickly.
Well, then would this ever be something that like the human population would have to vote on in like some government-based like intervention?
Towards a future where the companies that make these systems and the systems themselves just need not listen to the vast majority of people on Earth. So I think the window that we have to act is narrowing quickly. Takeaway number 2. By default, we should not expect to be ready when AGI arrives. We might build machines that we can't understand and can't turn off because that's where the incentives point. Takeaway number 3. AGI is not just about tech. It's also about geopolitics. It's about your job. It's about power. It's about who gets to control the future. I've been thinking about AI for several years now, and still, reading AI 2027 made me kind of orient to it differently. I think for a while it's sort of been my thing to theorize and worry about with my friends and my colleagues, and this made me want to call my family and make sure.
Yeah, dude, I feel like I think he's saying, like, when he used to think about it, it was like a fun hypothetical you'd talk to your fucking friends or coworkers about or whatever. Now it's like, oh shit, this is serious.
Sure they know that these risks are very real and possibly very near, and that it kind of needs to be their problem too now.
I think that basically companies shouldn't be allowed to build superhuman AI systems, broadly super intelligence, until they figure out how to make it safe, and also until they figure out how to make it, democratically accountable and controlled. And then the question is, how do we implement that? And the difficulty, of course, is the race dynamics, where it's not enough for one state to pass a law because there's other states, and it's not even enough for one country to pass a law because there's other countries, right? So that's like the big challenge that we all need to be prepping for when chips are down and powerful AI is imminent. Prior to that, it's transparency is usually what I advocate for. So stuff that sort of like builds awareness, builds capacity.
Your options are not just full throttle enthusiasm for AI or dismissiveness. There is a third option, which is to stress out about it a lot and maybe do something about it.
But, like, what can we do? Can we just live in the middle of nowhere with no tech and no Wi-Fi? Yeah, theoretically, but, like, then you're in, like, a post-apocalyptic scenario. You're saying, oh, the solution is let me just fucking go live in the woods. There's nothing we can do. I don't want to say there's no point in not worrying about it. Like, we should worry about it. But, like, I don't think you should keep yourself awake at night being like, oh, fuck, super intelligence.
The world needs better research, better policy, more accountability for AI companies, just a better conversation about all of this. I want people paying attention who are capable.
I wonder if at some point a super intelligence would effectively take over like political power. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this would be anything in the near future, but at some point, would you just have like an AI president instead of a guy or like a person? Just fucking running everything. And then you could just vote off that, and that would tweak the AI and how it's supposed to run its systems accordingly. Imagine, that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine we would just vote on things still as people, but then the AI would just implement those things depending on how we voted for it.
My hopes for this video will be realized if we can start a conversation that feels alive, here in the comments and offline, about what this actually means for people talking to their friends and family. Because this is really going to affect everyone. Thank you so much for watching.
Dude, I loved this fucking video, man. That was like, I know I didn't talk near the end there, but he was doing his closing remarks. I was just zoned in. Can we just stop? I'd like to be able to go camping with my family in 2030, if that's okay. I don't think stopping entirely is the solution, and I don't think that would ever happen. Knowing the potentiality of AI and just going, hey, yeah, we're just not going to do this. It would just be missing out on such a potential to make life genuinely better. It's like the rewards outweigh the dangers of the risk in the sense that people are going to keep, moving towards doing this, right? You're never, the potentiality for things to be great are so high that even if the fucking, world could end, most people are going to take that risk. Anyways, W stream chat. We're going to fucking call that there. If you have any videos...